the next team on our list. We are breaking down every team across the NFL. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the Indianapolis Colts episode. We're going to go across the 2024 season, recap some stuff that happened, 2025 offseason, and then give our predictions for the 2025 season. Previous year's record in 2024, they went 8-9, finished second in the AFC South, but they missed the playoffs. Absolute dumpster fire years, both for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. So kind of allowed them to stack some wins and also still not make the playoffs because they're dog shit. Some stats from this season: points per game, 22.2, 17th in the NFL. Points allowed per game, 25.1, 24th in the NFL. They had the 13th. Wait, hold on 1 second here. Excuse me. Offensive and defensive DVOA. The Colts notably posted the lowest DVOA in the entire NFL. So they just,
hell yeah.
This just isn't a very good football team, to be completely honest. The defense, they rank 17th. On offense, I mean, they're like just low key a complete zero. Joe Flacco was at the helm last season after Anthony Richardson, the Anthony Richardson debacle. We've covered this Anthony Richardson debacle a ton. I think that like it is what it is. First and foremost, before we get into all that, I want to say R.I.P. Jim Irsay. He was one of like the last like great owners, great story, good guy. And I mean he's if you're a football fan at like our age, like in your 20s and 30s, like you know who Jim Irsay is, like plain flat and simple, because of guys like PMT and how big of a character he was. So RIP to one of the GOATs.
Yep, RIP to the big dog.
But to get back seriously, but to get back into it, just not much positive from like a team standpoint, although they did win 8 games. Jonathan Taylor, he did his thing, set the franchise record for total touchdowns in first 5 seasons, and tied for second most 100-yard games in franchise history. I think that Josh Downs broke Marvin Harrison's record for most receptions by a Colts player in their first 2 seasons, and Alec Pierce had 7 touchdowns last season. Not names. I mean, obviously Jonathan Taylor is a name that you have, that you know, but Josh Downs is a smaller wide receiver who I think is going to be really good for a long time. And Alec Pierce, who is the guy from Cincinnati, a white guy who just plays really well for them. It's not like your Michael Pittmans, your Adonai Mitchells, etc. It's these guys who are deeper in the depth chart, but have just played above expectations. I really like both of those. I think Josh Downs and Alec Pierce are just really good football players. So I like a lot of what they have on this football team. It's just hard to really put all of this together for them for whatever reason that is.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback situation last year was a mess. It pretty much went like Anthony Richardson would play a couple games, Joe Flacco would Anthony Richardson would start a couple games, Flacco would play a couple games, and then it pretty much just flip-flopped every 2 to 3 games throughout the season. The inconsistency at quarterback, and especially from Anthony Richardson, is just unfortunate. I don't necessarily think that they've handled that situation properly with Anthony Richardson. They were relatively quick to move on from him, especially knowing what they were getting themselves into as far as a guy that didn't play a ton of football coming into his NFL debut. And situations like that, you have to give the guy a little bit longer of a leash than you normally would. But now football is, you have to win right away or you're on the hot seat. And to be honest with you, I do really think that Shane Steichen is on the hot seat for this season. And
no doubt.
And if they aren't able to put together somewhat of a competent year, then I think he's out of there. And at that point, maybe you're wishing you did keep Anthony Richardson to try and give him a little bit more of an opportunity rather than flip flopping him in and out. It's I liked Anthony Richardson coming in. I thought the ceiling was really high. The floor was not super high, obviously, because of the just the amount of games that he played. It wasn't a lot, but like I said, you have to give a guy like that a longer leash. At this point, I've pretty much come to terms that it is over. That experiment is over. I have like a little bit of hope left, but realistically, he'll probably
He
be a
stinks.
backup for like 1 or 2 more years somewhere, and then that's about it.
Yeah, I think there's a real opportunity. I think there's a real possibility that he might not play football like anymore. Really, what it comes down to is they need to clear house and do this over. And I think it starts. I think it starts with the GM. Chris Ballard, his time as the GM, he had Andrew Luck. This is the quarterbacks who he's had. The revolving cast. He's had Andrew Luck in 2018, Jacoby Brissett in 2017 and 2019, Philip Rivers in 2020, Carson Wentz in 2021, Matt Ryan in 2022, Anthony Richardson in 2023, Gardner Minshew in 2023, Daniel Jones, uh, Joe Flacco. They just this 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 is what we were talking about with like being an absolute quarterback purgatory to the
Yeah.
fullest. Instead of just sitting there and realizing that like you are bad, and this is before they took Anthony Richardson, they were going and grabbing guys like Philip Rivers who were on the back nine, Carson Wentz who didn't put together a good season in years, and then Matt Ryan who was on the back nine as well. Instead of just trying to accept the fact that like, hey, we need to actually like figure out a long-term solution for this, then they're finally at a situation where they're picking at the top of the draft and they go and they take Anthony Richardson. I just don't think that everybody's now at the point saying like, oh, like he needs more time, he needs more time. In essence, that's true. But then, like, he shouldn't have been a top five pick because when you take somebody as a top five pick, it's expected to have some sort of base level competency of play. And he isn't even a bottom five starter in the NFL. He's unplayable. So I think that that's where it starts. I think it starts with like Chris Ballard as a GM just making bad picks at the quarterback position over and over again. And then when they go and they bring in Anthony Richardson, that was just a clear misdiagnosis of who he could potentially be as a football player because it was obviously stated at that time how little experience that he had going into the NFL and how little football he played. And it was going to be a big project. And I think that if that's the case, then you probably shouldn't be somebody that you're dependent on, like turning around your franchise. So I'm starting with that. And then from the head coach position, I think Steichen's like a decent offensive play caller. And I think that at some point in his career, he'll be better. Like he'll be in a better spot. But this has just been a bad situation for them all around. So I think that I'm weary because as of now, like Daniel Jones is their starting quarterback, and weirdly enough, and we'll get into it when we do the 2025 offseason, I'm almost like nervous that they might win too many games, like
Yeah.
randomly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where it's just like,
But
okay, like Daniel Jones isn't terrible. Like he's okay at times, and I worry that like are they going to be at a point where like they accidentally win too many football games and Ballard stays the GM and the head and Steichen's still the head coach and then like the next season they're just like screwed again because they like
yeah,
buy into this Daniel Jones situation just because it's like one fall after another. Um but I think it starts with that. Let's go with that first and comment on that. Like, do you agree with that? Like, I'm with you. I think that Anthony Richardson did need time, but he's so bad that he's not even a quarterback in the NFL. Like, he should switch to tight end.
like he hasn't given them. There's been some, but not enough flashes for them to be like, okay, yeah, there's something there, right? Like
Yeah.
we saw the bombs like off his back foot for 75-yard touchdowns that looked completely effortless, but then you also see the extensive highlight reel of him overthrowing AD Mitchell along the sidelines, overthrowing Alec Pierce on like curl routes that just lead to interceptions and incomplete passes where it's like those are throws that you should be able to make in the NFL as a starting quarterback that he's just not
as a backup quarterback.
as a backup quarterback. Yeah, that he's
Yeah.
just not completing nearly consistently enough, if at all sometimes. So I will say the Chris Ballard situation is like weird because I think he's done a really good job of like building this team around a quarterback, but he just can't hit the quarterback uh, bullseye for shit.
No,
And
I mean not at all.
that's the hardest part, admittedly. But like on paper and like on the field, I like the team. I like the Colts. Like I think they
Yeah.
have good players on both sides of the football, but this quarterback situation has just been like a complete mess since Andrew Luck left. It's like Andrew Luck left and like put a curse on the Colts because of how poorly their offensive line was and how beat up he got. It's like, all right, you're going to be good everywhere else, but I'm leaving and you're going to be cursed for the next foreseeable, like for the next 10, 15 years. Um, the Shane Steichen situation is interesting too, because I think he will be better as well. Maybe he needs to go back to an OC position once he gets fired, but and sort of build his way back to earning a head coaching job. Because clearly this just hasn't worked out. But sorry, what was your question?
I don't know, but I'm sitting here thinking right now, like right
Oh,
now is
they
like
might win too many games. Yeah. The Daniel Jones thing is interesting because this situation is significantly better
I'm
offensively
worried.
than
I'm
what
looking
he
at this
had
team.
in.
I'm thinking about it right now. Like I'm thinking year one under Steichen, they were a bad play call away on fourth down from
Yeah.
making the playoffs when they threw it to like their fourth string running back on a play. Then last
Yeah.
season, they were an absolute dumpster fire and they go and they win 8 games. And then now you're
Yeah.
going into this season and it's like, fuck, like, are they actually going to be like kind of good? Like, I think
They
that,
have
like,
some guys on the defensive line. They added Tyler Warren as a tight end. Like their
dude,
wide
do you want to
receiver
know?
room is solid.
Dude, do you want to know the craziest thing of all? Daniel
Yes.
Jones has thrown for more touchdowns in a season than Jalen Hurts.
Why'd you have to do that? You didn't have to do that. You literally did not have to do that to me. You froze.
My internet cut out as soon as that happened. What was your response to that?
I said you didn't have to do that to me.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, this guy. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, who knows? But no, I'm just messing around
I
with
think
that aspect of it.
Shane Steichen can be as competent as a head coach as Brian Daboll, and the Giants had less to work with offensively than this Colts team does.
I'm laughing because I'm like dumb talking myself into the Colts for some reason. Like I don't know what it is. I like you said. I think that they have done a really good job of building up this team. I mean, the O line isn't the same as it used to be. And I think that could probably be the only issue, but there's still dudes on the offensive line. I like Braden Smith. I like Quentin Johnston. Like you said, you bring in Tyler Warren. I think that this wide receiving core is like slept on almost. Like
Yeah,
Alec Pierce is a good deep threat. Josh Downs is a great slot, and Michael Pittman's a good big body. And then Adonai Mitchell, like if you've watched, like I know it's preseason clips and stuff like that, but he's just a freak. And
yeah,
if that could get figured out, and then Jonathan Taylor at one point was one of the most dangerous running backs in the NFL. If he can get back to that form, that would be crazy. Daniel Jones, I mean, he has won a playoff game before. And then
I,
you go across this defense, and this defense just isn't bad. I think probably the critique of this defense, I really like this secondary. I think that they built this up a ton. I think what I would be fair to critique is the edge rushers. Liata Latu was somebody who they brought in who
yeah.
you kind of expect a little bit more out of. Like, I remember when they picked him, Chris Ballard was in the draft room being like, we just got the best freaking end in the entire draft. Like, I I would need to see him take a significant step up in his play. Same with like Kwity Paye. Like, I think that their rushing room is like is questionable at this point. I think it could be good. I'm not saying it can't be.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if this was a decent room for them by the end of the year. But I think as of right now, I think that that's probably a big question mark for them. But everywhere else, other than the quarterback position, like to the umpteenth degree, like I don't love it, but it's not bad. Like, and
No.
then on the defense, like I said, it's just the edge rushers, but that's really this team's interesting to say the least. I came into this, by the way, saying I was gonna say the Colts are gonna be the worst team in the NFL. Like, I was like close to doing
I came into it thinking they were fully prepared to
it.
have them as a like 5 or 6 win team.
But as of now, I think I might be all in. Let's go in the 2025 offseason. Obviously, they some roster moves. They signed Tre'Davious Ward. I like him. He was really good in San Francisco for a long time. They add Cam Bynum, like a rangy long safety, and they obviously signed Daniel Jones to a 1-year, $14 million deal. Am I missing any free agency moves that they did this season? I don't think so.
I have Corey Ballantyne, a corner. I have Khalil Herbert, backup running back,
Okay,
which could be
he's
whatever. Like a
fourth string on the chart right
is
now.
he?
Yeah,
I don't have the depth chart pulled up. I just have him as a guy that they added.
Tyler
Who's the
Goodson,
second and
the
third?
Tyler Goodson, the guy who dropped the ball for the playoff win 2
2 years
years ago.
ago.
Playoff
Okay,
win.
I'm
Playoff
surprised they
berth.
didn't exile him.
No, they didn't. And then in this draft, I mean, I think that this draft is good. I mean, it's good. It's decent. I mean, you go and you get Tyler Warren, who I felt like he should have been the first tight end taken off the board when Colson Loveland got taken first. I was a little shocked, honestly. Like, I know that he's going to be a good receiving type of tight end, but I think what it comes down to as well is I forget who said this, but somebody said everybody thinks that Tyler Warren can block because he has long hair. Tyler Warren's not the best blocker of tight end, but like that isn't in the modern NFL, like a lot of these guys like aren't the best blockers. Like, if you're going to be coming in and being like an impactful tight end, I think that
He's
he
good
can do
enough. Like,
enough.
yeah,
I think he's can do enough from that position, but he's not elite at it. But I think that he could be elite at everything else.
yeah.
So I think that pick's really good. They get a D end and JT Tuamalu from Ohio State, a
Mhm.
corner Justin Wally from Minnesota, another offensive tackle from Iowa State, DJ Giddens, the running back from Kansas State. You see Josh Allen. I see Riley Leonard in the sixth for Notre Dame, and then defensive tackle Tim Smith from Alabama, and then Hunter Wohler from Wisconsin. Yeah, I like everything they do. Really, really, what Ballard does when he drafts people is he just tries to find like the biggest freak. It feels like he just bets on traits and is like,
Yeah,
this guy's really strong. You can't teach being strong and fast and big and all
yeah.
of that stuff. And those are the guys he kind of like leans into whenever he drafts. And I respect that, honestly. Like, I feel like that's a good way to look
I
at it.
mean, it's worked pretty well outside of the quarterback position. His tenure there as
True.
the Indianapolis Colts GM. So like, it works. He needs to reevaluate his quarterback scouting reports. But I like what they did too. I mean, I the Tyler Warren situation, I think he can be Dallas Clark. And that's what a lot of people were saying when they drafted him anyways, but either way,
I really like him with Daniel Jones too. Like, I like him way more with Daniel Jones than I do with Anthony Richardson.
yeah, I feel like he's just like a safety blanket. Like, you can throw the football to him anywhere and it feels like he's just going to make some type of play. Um but the kid that they drafted out of Ohio State, that kid gave Penn State absolute hell every time he played them. So like, my minimal knowledge is like that kid's one of the best defensive ends in college football, but I know that that's not the case. But I do think he'll be a good like rotational piece along that defensive line for them. I don't really have much else to say about the rest of these guys. I'm not super familiar, but the Riley Leonard, Josh Allen thing was very funny.
Yeah, and it's true.
It is true. I have the losses here if you want me to run through them.
Oh yeah, do that. Sorry, I forgot.
So they lost right guard Will Fries. They lost edge Dio Odiingbo. They lost their center Ryan Kelly, interior defensive lineman Raekwon Davis, kicker Matt Gay, quarterback Joe Flacco, safety Julian Blackman, linebacker EJ Speed, quarterback Sam Ellinger, tight end Kylan Granson, linebacker Grant Stewart, and that's about it. So they did lose two pieces along that offensive line.
Something. That's why I said that at the beginning. The offensive line is different. But yeah, that's why you don't. I think that's fair to say that it could be a little bit of a question mark losing two guys who were there for forever. They both went to the Vikings, I think, right?
Yep.
All right, some Vegas win totals. Their season totals at 7.5. Super Bowl odds plus 8,000, 23rd best in the NFL. To win the AFC South is at plus 375. To win the AFC is at plus 4,000. To make the playoffs is at plus 170. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I'm obviously not going to bet them to win the Super Bowl. I think for them to win the South as a zag is a decent bet. I mean, at plus 375, you get some value, but that's if you really like this team.
What has to happen for this team to win the South, in your opinion?
Not much. I don't think the South's very good to begin with. I don't think the Texans are very good to begin with. You know, like we went over the Texans, and as high as everybody are on them, they won 10 games last year. You know, like they did win a playoff game, but like they did win 10 games. It's not like they are like a 14 win team, and it like was like it wasn't even close. I think probably what needs to happen is Tennessee needs to be really bad again. And I don't think that will be the case. I actually think that this division is going to be sneaky interesting on paper. And I think it's kind of like up in the air for anything. I think what it comes down to is Daniel Jones's health. And that is where I am like down on this team fully. Although we just talked really highly of them, but Daniel Jones has come off of like some very major injuries and hasn't really looked the same as he has in past. He's had a neck injury, knee injury, and I think that has clearly taken a toll on him. And what he's kind of known for, and it's crazy when you look at him, is his athleticism. Like he can move, and he's fat. White. Yeah, well, he just looks like a goofball. And he's like sneaky athletic and like can actually run the football. And if that is taken out of his game, I think that kind of hinders him a little bit of like his ceiling. And I am a little worried that like that could, not that he is going to get hurt, but over the last few seasons, I mean, if we just like look at his game, his stats, he played 13 games in 2019, 14 games in 2020. In 2021, he played 11, 2022, 16, 2023, 6, 2024, 10. He's never played a full season in the NFL. So I think that's clearly something to highlight there. And I don't understand why anything would be different now. Like, what is going to change for him to play a full season? And with that being said, if he's going to be missing like time or an extended period of time, if Anthony Richardson or Riley Leonard comes in and plays for them, I just ultimately don't see that being a positive for them. So I'm going to lean under on this team, but I think that they have a really great foundation for the future, and hopefully they don't win a ton of games this season, and you position yourself to be at the top of this draft. And if you could potentially get somebody like it sounds crazy to say because it might be like flashbacks for them, but like a Lenore Sellers or maybe like a Cade Klubnik, you could put yourself in a situation where you're giving a rookie quarterback like a really solid foundation.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think I it's funny because I wrote down a couple odds totals on here,
Let's hear
but
it.
this was like a while back before the before the announcement, and I wrote down the Anthony Richardson MVP line, and it's plus 15,000. Um, I don't know what it currently is, if there is even a line for it. But like looking back on it, that cracks me up. So right now, the Daniel Jones MVP line is plus 20,000. If that is
No,
interesting to anybody,
no, it's
I don't
not.
even. I don't even
It's
see an
not.
there's no.
I'll give
There's
you
not
the
even
answer.
Anthony.
No.
There's not even Anthony Richardson line on here. Obviously, I'm biased to Tyler Warren, so I wrote his offensive rookie of the year line down here. It's at plus 2,500.
I mean, why not?
Could be something to consider. But I I think there's going to be a lot of rookies that are going to be pretty impactful, and I think it'll be really tough for a tight end to win it again, especially with although the Brock Bowers situation was significantly worse than the Tyler Warren situation from a quarterback perspective, and he still figured out a way to win. So that's something to potentially consider for this season.
Maybe Tyler Warren can play quarterback for them.
He could. He did play quarterback in high school. People love to talk about that when he was at Penn State. He's lefty too, so
Yeah,
whatever that means.
he's like Tua.
But yeah, back-to-back tight end offensive rookie of the years would be wild. Do I realistically think that'll happen? No, but it's just something to consider because the Brock Bowers won last year, and his quarterback situation was an absolute mess too. So, for those of you that are the real sickos out there, Tyler Warren, offensive rookie of the year, plus 2,500.
I actually don't hate that bet like at all. To be real with you, so
it's now at plus 2,200 for what it's worth.
Yeah. I gave my prediction. Did you give yours on what you think is going to happen? I think that they probably win 7 games. I felt like I laid out why. So if you want to go into what you think, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with 6 games. I think they go 6-11. I just don't feel. I know we talked pretty highly about the rest of the team, but the quarterback situation is just a mess. And the thing that's weird is they won all these games last year, and the quarterback situation might be worse this year. Like Joe Flacco was at least coming in and low key slinging it. I don't know if you're getting that same thing out of Daniel Jones, but I don't know. I don't feel great about it.
Can't tell.
I can't tell either. I can't really get a great read on it, but I just really worry about it. I think that it's a 6-win team. I think Shane Steichen's gone at the end of this season, and they end up as having probably like a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this season. I don't think 6 wins is going to be the worst in the NFL. I think they'll probably still be a bottom 5 team in the league, though.
Okay, there you have it. Okay. Let's do this.
You're
last
so
team.
Close, though, Colts fans. You're so close.
So close. This is our Colts.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take